Hong Rengan's vision for a new Taiping state. So it was clear Hong Rengan was going to be commanding the Taiping followers. He needed to get their loyalty. And this meant more than spiritual salvation, like Hong Xiuquan was kind of obsessed with. So Hong Rengan understood that these people needed more than to be told they had to get away to get into heaven. They needed earthly rewards, like promises of a better state in life. So he sought long-lasting structure for the future Taiping government and society, weaving Chinese tradition with knowledge of Western industrial societies. Because let's remember, Hong Rengan was educated by some priests from the West, so he had some knowledge of Western practices. He infused a prototype ethnic nationalism that had been unseen in China since the Manchu invasion. His first major proclamation fanned ethnic resentment towards the Manchu, calling people to, quote, rejuvenate China and resist the northern barbarians in order to wipe out the humiliations of over 200 years. We mouth their language, we live together with their members, and our people suffer from their vileness of the Manchu dogs. So, this cause really did, not just resonate with the Taiping, but anybody else in China at that time.
It's kind of again a wall fast from what Hong Xiuquan made in his 1857 speech about just wanting to ascend to heaven rather than the fight against the Manchu.
Exactly. Actually, an American in Shanghai who was a witness to some of this, he had this to say: Americans are too firmly attached to the principles on which their government was founded and has flourished to refuse sympathy for a heroic people battling against foreign thraldom. So, from this American man's viewpoint, he believed that the Manchu were dominating the Han, and that actually really is the truth of it, and he had some sympathy for them. Hong Rengan hashed out a vision of a new Taiping state in a document titled A New Work for the Aid of the Government. Traditional dynastic views that held China as the center of the world, the pinnacle of civilization, and that barbarians were beneath them, was something that he realized annoyed foreigners. So Hong Rengan knew he needed to change this so that nations like Britain, for example, who were militarily more powerful and very proud, would deal with them. So he encouraged dropping the notion of, calling Westerners barbarians. And he expressed towards Westerners the equality, friendship, harmony, and all that.
Is it like two reasons? One, because of his exposure already to the Western civilization through the missionaries, and also he's a bit more pragmatic in realizing what they might need in the long term.
Even at this point, the Qing dynasty, like the Manchu officials, are still referring to Westerners as barbarians.
We've seen that in your Opium Wars video.
Exactly. And, they're doing the old, we don't trade with the barbarians, they pay us tribute. That's how they present their trade deals and all that. And Hong Rengan is very educated, he knows this, and he knows that they could maybe get the Westerners to join their side and trade with them. So he's going for that route. Hong Rengan's, Hong Kong experience showed China was just one state amongst many, many others. And he had been studying, actually, 19th century powers. He believed Christianity was the key to Western strength. Protestant nations like Britain, the United States, Germany, Scandinavian nations, they seem to be the strongest and most prosperous, followed by the weaker French Catholics and Orthodox Russians, clinging to what he believed to be miracles and mysticism. Views on Islam and Buddhism, he thought they were both quite weak, abiding, he saw them as nations that were either being colonized or on the verge of being colonized. He saw the Manchus like the Persian Empire. He thought that they, people under them accepted slave-like status too easily. The most powerful nation in his eyes was Britain, who had been, to his knowledge, ruling for like 1,000 years, longer than the Chinese dynasties.
At this